Thank you very much, Shocks. Hello and welcome to the caster desk as we're getting ready to go into our first game of the day. This is SK taking on EXCEL, and it's an important one for both of these teams. They are currently at the bottom of those standings and looking for a spot in the playoffs. You know, there's only one game that separates these teams, and I think typically we get excited about kind of the top teams and watching these bigger teams, but when it's these playoff race teams, and you know, for a team like EXCEL as well, who've never made it to the playoffs, these games are very, very important. Jamada, both of these teams seem to be finding their form right now, though. So how do we feel going into this game?
I mean, definitely around EXCEL, right? There's a lot of sort of hype around them, especially with Markoon and Advienne coming in. They look like a much better team. And like Drake was saying on the desk just now, especially Nukeduck, he's looking even more solid than he was because of these additions to the roster. So hopefully for them, they can make their first playoffs. But for SK, we also just saw the strength of schedule is not great, right? That is a very tough way to round out the split. So, you know, yes, we do meme teams, or teams do get memed when they are at this stage of the split. This is the kind of game where you have to pick up the win, and then you just kind of have to pray and hope that you can go into these later games and pick up the wins against those stronger teams.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw with the addition of Markoon and Advienne as well to these rosters that, you know, EXCEL looked unlocked. They looked so much better. Nukeduck was able to play more proactive champions in the mid lane, like these TFs, these LeBlancs, the champions that he could sync up well with his jungler and make an impact on the map. But even with all these great performances, and I've seen so many people praising online about this new version of EXCEL and how much better they look, they're struggling to actually translate these games into wins. They've only won 2 of their last 5 games. Exactly the same score here for SK Gaming as well. SK won versus Mad yesterday, though, and you know, maybe a bit of a win we didn't see coming, as we are heading through into Champ Select.
We are indeed, and going to be very interesting to see how these teams prioritize what. Of course, we saw Treatz on the Mundo yesterday, one of the champions that was kind of, you know, touched up a little bit, along with Lilipp and Irelia too. We'll see if those champions will show their heads as well later throughout the day. But here we are going into draft EXCEL versus SK.
I think when we go down into the ban phase, it's probably going to be more of the same, though. We see a lot of the similar kind of champions getting banned away. Let's see where the attention goes and kind of what these teams are looking to pick as their first priority. The Mundo getting denied. Treatz obviously first picking that in the jungle in the last game versus Man, getting a double kill with it bot lane. So kind of a bit of an understandable ban there, followed up by a Diana. Pretty much standard bans across the board, though, so far.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can still say about SK Treatz has been sort of one of the shining lights about this roster. Yes. Whenever SK do okay in the early game, it's normally off the back of Treatz's early game performances. So definitely understandable bans, followed up by the Thresh, very standard, very typically. And SK, a lot of Markoon focus by the bans. Diana, Xin Zhao, Tristana going to be removed away by EXCEL as well. Wonder if SK want to just kind of throw down all the jungle bans, maybe toss out something like the Lee Sin or the Volibear as well. But it will leave things like the Gwen open, which, you know, there's just so many picks on this patch in general, which are just so ridiculously strong. It feels like you get sort of 6, 7, 8 champions that are constantly banned, and it's just this kind of mosh pit between all of these very strong champs being first picked. But it's actually going to be Kalista focus for Patrick, and there's the Gwen actually first picked as highlighted. So let's see how SK want to respond. You've got, of course, the Viego, you've got strong AD carries as well to pick up if you want that, and the Akali is available as well. Did get hit with the nerf, feels a little bit clunkier to play, but generally speaking, the champion is about as strong as it was before. A couple of others still going to go through. Jayce will be the option for SK here.
I think you need to be a little bit worried, though, if you do just blind pick Akali, because we highlighted, it was highlighted on the desk, but Nukeduck plays this LeBlanc, and LeBlanc has a fantastic matchup. Yeah. It's such a good matchup, so I feel like you don't want to be blind picking the Akali here, so they're just going to go for the Jayce and Leona, kind of keeping that Jayce a bit flexible, can get moved around the map a little bit here, but EXCEL looking now towards their next rotation. Obviously, they've got this Gwen locked in, and again, it's still technically a flexible pick, so they might try and keep the flex alive as we head a little bit deeper into this Champ Select. Taking their time a bit, thinking about what they want to lock in, but they are just going to go for the Viego here.
They will, and I like it. I think you've already got 2 strong topside champions. We did see the Varus hover. I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. You kind of set yourself up for potentially a strong bot side. You could round out by just taking all of your top side champs as well if you want another solo laner, but I think holding the flexibility of Gwen and Viego are really good. I think Varus definitely the right call here. And it does give SK the opportunity to lock in their AD carry here if they want it. I would imagine that would be the case, or the bottom laner in this case could be Ziggs. Something we've seen pretty sharp rise in priority kind of across the world, I feel like, and in some of the regional leagues too. Got a lot of buffs. Did get hit on this patch, but honestly, the nerf wasn't too big. And it's going to definitely spread out some of the damage profile here. So SK, if they want to, they're not too pressured into having to take, you know, an AP jungler or anything like that. The Ziggs alone can be more than enough now. In terms of bans, I think probably moving away... okay, I was actually going to pull out maybe supports, but instead they want to remove away Nukeduck's LeBlanc, which honestly, pretty understandable if you saw some long games recently.
Yeah.
Could also have that followed up by Twisted Fate, I would imagine, if they're going to go down the full-on hammering onto Nukeduck. And for EXCEL, I suppose probably just junglers at this point. Anything you want to see Treatz not on, maybe something like the Volibear, take away any early agency options for him would probably be the best shot for EXCEL.
I would like to see a little bit more engage added to EXCEL. Their big problem yesterday versus Misfits was they didn't have a engage, and they just couldn't find the fight. They were getting poked out too hard. Understandable, you know, to pick themselves up the Varus. It obviously has that non-committal engage from the Chains of Corruption, and the TF, like you highlighted, was taken away. Kind of shuts down some of Nukeduck's kind of roaming capabilities, because typically Blue has sat in lane, and that is pretty much all he's done during the laning phase for the side of SK. He doesn't seem to move that much, and Nukeduck really likes to roam around the map, especially with Markoon since the addition of him. So the Volibear going to get denied here, kind of an aggressive jungler. We'll see what the answer is going to be. As it looks like it is going to be the Ziggs in the bot lane, and they're going to put the Lucian in the mid lane. So what is Nukeduck going to fire back with here? Yeah,
it's definitely a bit of an irritating champion to deal with in the mid lane. Of course, the Viego Gwen both still flexible. So we got to wait to see exactly whether they potentially chuck the Viego in the mid lane into that Draven, into the Draven. I'm looking at the horror, pardon, the Lucian. But Lucian in general, pretty strong pick here, just in the sense of they didn't really have great DPS, right? If you go towards a Baron, could definitely struggle, but really strong rotation here from EXCEL. You get the Sett, potential engage, and then you also get the Rakan, which in lane, yes, can certainly struggle into the Leona, but when you think about Ziggs likely to kind of be left on an island, and we did see yesterday Lilipp got a lot of nice roams off, and I imagine that's maybe what SK could go for here. If they can find a nice junglist in the pool to pair up with the Leona, and it will be Gragas, actually, which I feel like we don't see too often, but Treatz, no stranger to it, so that's going to be the compositions here. I'm liking what both teams have, in all honesty. I think for EXCEL, you've got strong side lane presence, you've got a lot of re-engage potential as well between the Rakan and the Sett. So if SK do decide to try and get aggressive via the Leona, via the Gragas, they can have things turned back on them, but they do have SK a lot of range to play with between the Jayce and the Ziggs, and a lot of non-committal engage too. So if SK want to sort of play in front of objectives, they get in front of objectives first. It can potentially be a little bit difficult for EXCEL to approach if they can't find some nice flank angles.
My eyes are really going to be on Blue in this game. I need to see a good performance from him. I need to see him pair up with Treatz, because if Markoon is kind of just left to run around the map and do what he pleases, I feel this could get a little bit scary for them. But I do like what both teams have got. Like you said, I actually think this Gragas is really nice, just because it can scatter EXCEL, and, you know, again, both teams have that non-committal engage, but the ability to kind of stop them from diving in is going to be really impactful there from the Gragas. We'll have to see how it's going to go. I've still got my eyes on Blue. I know I keep saying it, but I need to see it from Blue. I need to see a good performance here. He's on the Lucian versus the Sett, so he should kind of get free roam of that lane, right?
Yeah, I mean, Sett can, after a couple of levels, sometimes try and find priority, but I think realistically, for Nukeduck here, it's going to be more about kind of surviving the laning phase and looking towards getting some CS under his belt, and then those team fights, getting those re-engages, going to be the thing for him working with Markoon.
And we are on to the Rift for our first game of the day. This is SK versus EXCEL. Currently, SK are tied in 9th place with Schalke. A loss here would drop them down into 10th, only momentarily, depending on the Schalke game after this. EXCEL trying to climb their way up, trying to find a way in to those playoffs. And remember, we talked about it quite a lot, but I think it is important. This is a very important game for SK just because the rest of their games coming up are very hard. They've got GT, they've got Fnatic, they've got Astralis, they've got Misfits, and they've got Rogue. They are the 5 final games for SK. Losing here is going to make climbing so hard and making all of those games incredibly important for SK.
It's almost an effective death sentence away from making it to playoffs if you do drop this game. Not to say that they can't go on to beat practically the entirety of the top half of the LEC, but working with probability here, likelihood isn't that high. So definitely need to pick up this win. For EXCEL though, I mean, stakes really high for both these teams realistically, right? But I think for EXCEL in particular, a team with a lot of hopes behind them now. Surprisingly, I don't feel like a lot of people would have been saying this at the start of the split, especially after the first 2 weeks or so. Picking up these wins, going into the back half of the split, I think it's EXCEL and Vitality, the 2 teams in the bottom half of the table that everybody's looking at to probably snag up that final playoff spot. But it does start here for both these teams, in particular EXCEL.
As expected, Blue is getting that kind of early pressure in the mid lane on the Lucian, so just going to go down, place some vision in Markoon's jungle, who's done a full blue side clear. Markoon actually looking to get a little bit aggressive, coming in towards that mid lane. Got level 3, so he's got the Spectral Maw, he's got everything available. The flash face breaker thrown down by Nukeduck. Markoon misses out on the Spectral Maw, and Blue's able to flash away to safety.
Yeah, but that is still flash blown from Blue. If they can get back to the mid lane, maybe Advienne could come up here as well at some point. Trying 3-man Blue could definitely yield some results. But for Markoon, nice bit of aggression. It is 2 flashes for 1, so technically SK do trade up on the summoner spells, but nonetheless, it's not really going to affect Markoon's pathing too much. Still going to pick up the red buff, the Raptors, and then go to get the chickens, where you can see Patrick, Advienne, they've got lane priority here. It's of course mid lane priority for Blue still, but they know where Treatz is, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Unless he tries to get really aggressive. But without bottom lane priority, I doubt Treatz is going to look for a double skull.
No, I don't think so. We can already see Markoon's on his scuttle anyway, so not too much to be picked up in the blue side jungle Markoon. That has been fully cleared out by Treatz. Same for Treatz on Markoon's blue side, so both of these junglers just going to be picking up all of their camps. Although it does look like Treatz is sniffing around the top lane. Kryze obviously going for the flash, not for the flash, going for the ghost and the TP. So hasn't got that flash to kind of jump away from the belly bop. But Kryze will be A-okay for now. So we are seeing a small CS lead building up in the bottom side of the map. Patrick's got himself 30 CS to 23. We're only 4 minutes in, so it's a little bit nice just to get that early lead there.
Yeah, Varus still doing Varus things. Still one of the strongest lane bullies in the game at the moment, or at least in meta. And Jezu in general, you don't really want to try and contest until you get a couple of points in the bouncing bomb. That's when Q does kind of come online, you can trade back a little more hefty. But to be expected, the CS deficit. That's forced to use the satchel for the cannon, but that's okay. I think for SK though, still looking towards Treatz. Where exactly is he going to pounce first? They do have, honestly, decent setup on the bottom side. And you've had mid lane priority the entire time, and Blue has now actually shoved in this wave. See what SK might want to do with the priority that they do consistently have in this mid lane for now.
Well, they know there's no vision now.
Yeah. Could lead to potentially early objective control here towards the Dragon. Nukeduck is going to find this control ward, so we'll clear it out. A little less vision for SK to work with, but still have that Raptor ward to work with, so not going to feel too bad about it.
I want to talk a little bit about scaling then, because I might have to hold that, because Jezu's actually getting jumped onto. Patrick flashes forward. Jezu's been ignited, and he's going to be going down. First blood picked up in the bot lane for EXCEL, but the double belly bop's going to land, and Patrick is all on his lonesome, trying to get a little bit of extra damage into Lilipp, but not going to be able to find it. And Advienne now being run down. Stunned up by the Shield of Daybreaker, and there's the final belly bop as Advienne will be falling to Treatz. That's 2 for SK in the bot lane.
Yeah, and we asked, what are SK going to do with the priority? They eventually get Blue to teleport down, and Treatz also paths over to the bottom side skirmish. Jezu and Lilipp do get 2v2 killed, but doesn't really matter. Patrick and Advienne punished for it, and now immediate kind of cross-map play here. They've got a wave underneath the tower of Jenax. He does have flash, but 3 members against 1. I'm not sure he's going to make it out of this one.
It's going to be hard as Kryze has already thrown out the needlework. Showstopper use, Jenax has flashed. He's actually dodging away on a lot of this damage and getting some fire off as Nukeduck has to put the shield up. Kryze is able to get the kill and Nukeduck just about survives. That was close.
Oh my goodness, very, very close, but still EXCEL, they make the response work. Jenax gonna have to likely teleport back up here if he wants to pick up the wave. Lilipp and Treatz did try to get to the top side to respond, but not quite gonna make it. Oh, they might interrupt Kryze.
Ooh, Kryze, he's been caught! Kryze is down. He can skip, he can slash, but he can only go so far as Jenax will take him down.
Yeah, nice roam from Treatz and Lilipp as well. Are able to get onto that, and happy to see Lilipp out of lane. Get to see Jezu kind of just sit in the bottom side, but it's more of what we saw yesterday from Lilipp. So hopefully he continues this pairing up with Treatz to try and attack some of these lanes of EXCEL. The bottom side, like I said, it's definitely punishable, can be hard. They punished after the 2v2. With no more summoner spells available, Patrick and Advienne definitely could be an angle of attack. And immediately again, EXCEL on the opposite side of the map to where SK just made their previous play, trying to find whatever resources they can take away. Really nice proactivity so far from them in the early game.
Yeah, and as you can see, being toggled here is the vision. It is completely dark for SK on this side of the map. There is that one ward which Patrick was just spotted out on, but I don't think Lilipp's going to be able to stop Markoon from taking this blue buff. Places the ward down, and Markoon going to strip away a little bit of these jungle camps, starting up the Gromp as well. Treatz is on the top side of the map though, and Kryze, remember, still doesn't have his ghost back up as he's being jumped onto. Treatz may look to just chase him with one last belly bop, and Kryze will be going down, getting the snip off onto Jenax, but Jenax will secure the kill. Meanwhile, the bottom, everything lands onto Patrick. He's going low, gets taken down. Jezu's able to find the kill. It is just action across the board right now, Jamada.
Yes, the gank in the top side, and then immediately SK also find 2v1 kill onto Patrick. Curious as to how Patrick found himself engaged onto. Had my eyes on that top gank, of course. Now EXCEL, what are they going to do? Because they've been very quick to respond to a lot of these plays.
Oh, they have. They're looking for the knockoff on the blue. Blue is able to flash away for the moment. Nukeduck puts the shield down and secures the kills. Markoon will steal the form and jump to safety. Every time a play is made, the other team fires back, and we might not be done. Treatz is looking for Nukeduck, although the charge is going to land. Actually hits him with the cast, gets the face break to interrupt the belly button at the moment. Nukeduck is just about able to survive. How the hell did he do that one? Lilipp, now can he get close enough? I don't think he can. SK just about unable to find the kill onto the mid.
Nukeduck gets away with murder for that one. Treatz does dodge out on the re-engage with the stopwatch, so that is something blown on his end. Man, Sett regen plus, I think Advienne just about got the Battle Dance shield onto him. Enough to keep him healthy and alive. Gold up on our screens. Take a look at where any major differences lie. It's only a couple of hundred, just about everywhere across the board. Total gold lead does lie in SK's favor though. About 1,000 gold up, and with plays being so back and forth, I wonder who's actually going to look towards these first neutral objectives and who's going to prioritize what, because at the moment, it feels like SK, honestly, they kind of have three pretty decent lanes to work with right now. Jenax obviously just got a lot of attention, sort of back-to-back, picked up 2 kills. Lilipp and Jezu basically kind of have, I'm not going to say priority, but Lilipp knows that he can leave Jezu on the bottom side alone. And with that in mind, it seems like SK might just prioritize this Herald. What is Markoon and Advienne going to do about it? What are EXCEL going to do about it? Are they going to look to contest? They're going to try and cross-map. It looks like they actually want to try and make a play onto Advienne.
Have to be oh so careful. Advienne's able to dodge away from everything. SK are able to throw over the wall. That's the solar flare. That's the culling down. And now they might look for some kind of a re-engage, although Advienne's still not got level 6. He's been roaming so much. He is actually really lacking in the old experience department right now.
Yeah, he is, but at the end of the day, Lilipp and Blue just blew their ultimates, so ult economy is definitely still in EXCEL's favor, even if Advienne isn't level 6 right now. I think he's in the mid lane, yeah, to try and tick over to level 6. There you go. And with that in mind, SK shouldn't be able to contest this Herald anymore. Looks like they're going to try and quickly respond with the Dragon on the bottom side, but nice win for EXCEL, if you ask me. First Herald usually more worth than that first Dragon buy. It's to do with what pressure you can buy from a potential Dragon stack. However, SK now, instead of going for that Dragon, they want to try and dive Patrick.
Well, Advienne is here. He's got himself the charm to try and get everybody knocked up with the quickness for now. As that's going to be one for Patrick already. It's just been turned straight back on its head as Lilipp will go down and Patrick will secure a double kill.
EXCEL went out on both sides of the map here. They get the Herald on the top side. Advienne early rotates back down to the bottom side, expecting a cross map of some sorts, and reads the play correctly. Knocks up Treatz underneath the tower. Doesn't have the stopwatch. Blew it earlier, so he didn't get engaged onto by Advienne, actually, funnily enough. But didn't have it for this one. Dies to the tower. And then Lilipp as well gets run down. Real nice read on the play from Advienne and EXCEL. Now let's see what they're going to do with the Herald. Also, the Dragon is still in play, so they technically got a trading tool up on SK if they also want to try and prioritize this Dragon too. Denying that one away from SK could potentially be big. Giving over most souls to Ziggs kind of feels bad. And in general, SK, because of the power of their composition when it comes to the range non-committal engages, if they are in front of objectives first, it can get kind of tough. So if you can try and sneak those away, especially the first, Dragon, maybe two, to avoid the potential pressure of an early soul, could be very nice. Though I say early soul, no Dragon's been picked up. We're almost 12 minutes into the game. Have a replay of the dive. As you see, quite frankly, it's just really nice from Advienne, able to knock Treatz up. Patrick flashes away, cleanses immediately all of the CC. Lip has nowhere else to go either. Nukeduck does teleport down. I didn't quite get to see what credit he got, if any.
I don't think he got any, to be honest with you, mate. If I'm going to be completely honest.
Moral support. Either way,
yeah.
Jezu, hey, got the bottom lane tower with the satchel. So that's a nice sum of gold injected into his back pocket. And SK, they still end up getting the Dragon. And all things considered, still up 2,000 gold, give or take. So SK do sit pretty happily right now. Do have to still consider, however, the sitting gold in Markoon's pocket with that Rift Herald.
Yeah, we've also got to keep in mind, let's take a look at the items, because our first few items are starting to come in. You've got the Liandry's, you've got the Divine Sundra, and the Eclipse onto SK for Jenax. On the side of EXCEL, got Divine Sundra finished up for Markoon, Eclipse finished up for Patrick, but that's it as far as completed items go right now. So definitely down a little bit in the old gold department, but Shelly actually might get stopped here thanks to that one. The charge is going to go down. They are just about able to pick it up. That was almost way closer than it needed to be. Jezu almost saving the day of the tower. That means it's going to be chunked out a little bit, and that second Rift Herald could always result in the mid lane tower collapsing.
Yeah, definitely good value Herald. Very unfortunate for SK to not be able to take it down. I think 111 health was what it had when it crashed in. Oof. Pretty unfortunate, but definitely since the side lane tier 2 towers have been changed to have so much gold packed into them, been a little bit of a debate, as I might have to hold this point. Advienne could get picked onto, but a lot of mobility, so gonna be pretty okay here. As maybe they switch targets to Nukeduck. Even he's got a lot of vision to work with, so I think they're just gonna drop into lane assignments here. Not much else, but yeah, with these side lane tier 2s, there's so much gold, there's a lot of debate around like where to put the Herald now. I think a lot of teams are starting to default towards the mid lane. I think in a game like this where Ziggs is in it, taking down the tier 1 mid, a lot of extra value just because Ziggs can kind of stalemate games just by existing.
He's one of those champions. It's you know, your Zerefs, your Azirs, champions that just sit really far back and clear the wave, and they're just super hard to deal with.
Yeah, very, very obnoxious.
Now, Dragon spawning up in 2 minutes 44. It's going to be that Mountain Dragon, second Dragon of the game. SK were able to pick up the first one. We'll see if EXCEL can fire back or if it's going to be the beginning of a stack here. As you can see, match of the week, GT versus Fnatic, a real classic here in Europe. Make sure to tune in for that. It's game 5 of the day.
You do not want to miss it. Always
I think
delivers.
It's a very different G2 and Fnatic though, from like days gone by.
It's a different tone for sure. It's definitely a different tone. Obviously a lot of debate around G2 overall strength, how they're doing. Obviously Fnatic looking very, very strong. Perhaps one of the few times in the last couple of years where, I feel like you wouldn't be judged for saying Fnatic just outright look stronger right now.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see, because that's how the games always work out. Expectations.
Flashes away. The quickness was actually popped by Advienne there, but Jenax is able to get away. And that's the ultimate down, but it does give Kryze some time just to give the tower a quick haircut.
Yeah. SK all here to respond though, so play won't be long-lived.
Only a couple of auto attacks, but still one tower to none. So there's lots of gold on the map for EXCEL because they are currently down, and gold is trying to do something about that as Lilipp is forced to flash over the wall. Okay. Not going to get caught out by the grand entrance. Lilipp able to survive for now as Markoon's just going to try and take away a few chicken nuggets from the Treatz. Not
bad though for EXCEL. They get Jenax's flash and they get Lilipp's flash. So for Lilipp, it's going to limit some of the engage options. Of course, he's still got Hex flash, so it might not be too much harm. But for Jenax, going to have to be a little more careful especially with some of the versatility, the instant snap engage that EXCEL have and re-engage. I should be still playing at range with the accelerated shock blast, so can definitely be safe, but without that flash. One wrong step can definitely get him punished with this dragon spawning in 40 seconds. We'll see actually if EXCEL even want to contest it. As they are technically kind of behind on the completed items front. Kryze still searching for the Rift Maker, the rest of EXCEL, except for Advienne, do have their mythics on board. But SK, just take a look at the inventory, is kind of just objectively stronger right now. Jenax has 2 items with the Eclipse and the Manamune finished up. So just like EXCEL, instead they want to try and put their focus on this Herald. However, SK, they're here because the dragon isn't going to spawn yet for another 15 seconds.
We might have a big old scrap here. As Patrick is being pretty heavily zoned away. Lilipp just hex slashes over the wall just to threaten. Patrick is just completely zoned from even entering into the river because of all of the Ziggs, bombs, and the casks. But the fight is looking to break on. Markoon's getting jumped into. There's the quickness onto 2 members as the Chains of Corruption comes down. Nukeduck looks to jump in, but he's unable to do so. Markoon will lose his life, and SK will find the kill and take the Herald. It'll be a dragon as well for them as well. SK just completely stopped there.
Yeah. Totally went out on the fight. EXCEL weren't all in sync. Kryze was in base. He did have teleport, but he wanted to finish up that Rift Maker, and because of it, basically a numbers advantage. It starts off with Markoon getting picked off, and he's the only one that dies, but there's just not enough immediate follow-up on the engage of Advienne. Nukeduck isn't there to find a face breaker or a nice suplex on top of it, and the punish will be SK. They pick up the Herald. They're going to get this mid-tier 1. I imagine they should even get this dragon off the back of it, so that was a really big fight for EXCEL to lose at a time like that.
That was the power of what SK's comp does. That is the power of how Ziggs plays. You can't walk into areas when you can get poked as we are in the top lane. Nukeduck's actually found Jenax, gets him with a quick haymaker and chugging him out very heavily here as he flashes away. The Battle Dance shield is enough for them to find the killers. Nukeduck will cash in on the shutdown.
Yeah, Jenax trying to find a pick onto Nukeduck. Hands over his shutdown. That's a nice, tidy sum of gold to pick up 500 in total going into Nukeduck's back pocket. Markoon again, trying to cross-map on some of these jungle camps, something he's definitely been doing very consistently. As Mega Infernal Bomb, going to clear out the top wave, and it will actually stop Nukeduck from clearing out this top side, so nice usage of the Ulma there. But still, EXCEL, they find themselves behind around 3,000 gold. SK doing a pretty good job. Really good job so far around these neutrals. Punishing EXCEL where appropriate.
It's one of those things where everyone's really been praising, you know, the current form of EXCEL.
Yeah.
But I don't think enough people have really been praising SK. They also had a rough start to the split, and, you know, they're starting to find wins pretty consistently.
They're picking them up here and there, yeah. I think for SK, right, it's more about they don't always look like a 5-man unit, a team.
Yes,
when it all comes together, it looks great. I think when it comes together, it looks great. Obviously, you had the early iteration of the roster as well, but it looks like Markoon maybe looking for a long flank here.
I think that
potentially
Everfrost was actually just enough to shut them down from getting any close. Handed it on to Advienne, he can't get close, and that's going to be all she wrote in the mid lane. They looked for the fight, they were unable to find the fight, and it's kind of back to just dealing with the waves. But like you said, this is now the Ziggs kind of just stalling out the waves. He's got himself the Leandries, he's got the Oblivion Orb, so he's got enough AP just to be able to trip through these waves nice and easily. And with that tier as well, got a bunch of mana to work with. So mid lane's going to be very hard to take down, and they really needed that Herald to do so.
Yep.
Weren't able to use it and convert that into that mid lane tower. Now, Nukeduck did pick up the tower on the top side of the map, so he has at least got that. And the gold lead is still 2,000. Well, it's 2,700. Actually, it's less than that. Maths, my math's no good right now, but
it's not your strength.
It's not. Counting. I don't do numbers. I do yelling. Treatz might be in for a little bit of trouble here. Advienne, you got to land those. The Everfrost once again separates him, and he actually gets caught out by the caskers. Here comes Lilipp, able to dash away with the battle dance to get to safety, but again, it's just a little bit of a fail, a bit of a fumble, a little bit of a failed play is costing EXCEL. They've now not got their quickness to work with.
Yeah, it's not going to be available for the next couple of minutes, but I think in general, if you look at the next couple of minutes, what this game could potentially look like, as I don't think SK, I'm going to look to go on to Markoon here. I think if you're SK, you're very happy kind of just playing out this game state, the map state, as long as you try and find priority in the mid lane when necessary to pick up vision control around this dragon in particular and the next. Infernal Soul, pretty big deal. Loads of great appliers of it.
I will say
Jenax,
this
Blue,
though.
Jezu, yeah.
The Infernal Soul is a blessing for the side of EXCEL just because of the terrain destruction. We saw at the Rift Herald how powerful Ziggs and Gragas are at controlling the entrances into the river. You've now lost a whole bunch of walls, so it's very easy just to get to the next entrance in a very short amount of time. So a bit of a blessing there for EXCEL. Obviously a curse if SK pick it up, because Ziggs plus Jayce with Infernal Soul is just giga doomed. There's no other way to describe it, but we'll have to keep our eyes on that.
Even Treatz is going AP at the moment, so
true. Yeah,
it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. I think if I'm looking at EXCEL, what they need to potentially do, only 9 seconds till this dragon, but I think you try and create small pockets of fog, like we saw earlier with Advienne trying to find that pick onto Treatz, and you try and go onto whoever's trying to secure vision around these objectives. Set some shallow vision, try and bait SK into small areas where they want to try and secure some control, and you sort of break up the run of play for them. Try and find that numbers advantage. I mean, even playing around the Gwen at the moment, level 14, got a level advantage over Jenax. Might not have the item advantage, but Gwen is still Gwen at the end of the day. So powerful on the side lane. Could definitely be an in for EXCEL at the moment, but I do feel at these 5-on-5 team fights, EXCEL, there's so many powerful tools for them to work with in terms of agency engage. That can be very good.
Being able to take that turret as well is really nice there for EXCEL, because it means they can now push the waves up higher as Lilipp forces Patrick to flash away. That's now flashless Varus. 30 seconds until the dragon spawns means Patrick is going to have to play very cautiously. Does still have his cleanse, but if we look over on this side of SK, it's only Lilipp who doesn't have flash. Treatz, Jenax, Blue, Jezu all got their flashes available and ready to fire. Nukeduck will have his back by the time this dragon spawns up, but he's headed back to base looking to spend some gold and then teleport into this play, because it's going to be a very important fight here for EXCEL. And SK, they're in the area first. They're the ones who've set up first for the dragon, and they're going to start it.
Yeah, and they've got the item advantage right now. If they can find an... Okay, I was going to say, if they can somehow find a nice flank, it could be good. We've got a double teleport coming in from Kryze and Nukeduck, but SK, they can respond.
Get the slam off for the moment. Nukeduck stands, but he's got a lot of damage off. Flashes away to safety as Kryze is buying time for the rest of the team. A massive arrow comes through from Patrick, and the needlework is starting to put in some work. EXCEL are just getting absolutely squashed, though, as the turnaround's coming in. I can't tell who's winning this fight. It's so back and forth. At the end of the day, SK have more members, but lower health bars, and I think EXCEL won't be able to stick around for Dragon.
Jezu's stopwatch might have just won that fight for SK, because if he didn't get that off and we see Markoon get the resets on all of those low HP targets, that could be lights out for SK in this fight. Despite the item advantage, honestly, just a nice angle, but again, EXCEL not entirely all here for the immediate snapping age. Advienne wasn't here to follow up on the ultimate, but just all of the AoE damage onto the backline of SK is so much, and it's the stopwatch here. I mean, Markoon, honestly, kind of ignores Jezu anyway. Dives forward, but if he could have gotten that reset, that is almost certainly reset after reset, heartbreaker after heartbreaker. Not going to be the case though. SK walk out of that fight, and they return back to the pit, pick up the dragon. Oh, the damage return from SK was massive across the board from everybody.
It was a lot of damage, and it's getting worse because they just got their third dragon. It's the Infernal Soul picked up for them. Well, not Soul Point. 4 minutes until that Soul spawns up. So, EXCEL, they need to be cautious from now on, because every dragon is a real threat to them. And it'll be a pretty early Soul as well. We'll be looking at around... Actually, it's a little late. About 28 minutes. 29 minutes. A little late.
Oh my god.
Oh, right. Yeah. Patrick has to just go away
Go
now.
back to Fountain.
Go back and heal. Yeah, right. There's not much he can do.
See you on the next wave, Patrick. That's... Jayce is such an obnoxious champion like that sometimes, but...
I mean, so Ziggs. I mean, look at the CDR on Ziggs ult.
Yeah,
it's like, it's like four waves. It's like four waves and he gets it back.
Yeah. EXCEL... Okay, they kind of looked angry that they lost Patrick a bit. They maybe wanted to move forward, but again, a lot of the power of the range in this SK composition. You know, EXCEL, they're engaged. Obviously, you can kind of just walk through the front of these fights, try and front to back. It's not going to be the easiest thing in the world with Gragas and Leona, but it's certainly doable. 600 gold into Blue's pocket off that bottom tier 2. But it's not always going to be the best way to find these fights. We've spoken about it enough. It is really going to be just trying to find those off angles, try and catch, you know, Jezu, Blue off guard. Even Jenax, honestly, we just saw how much damage he did to Patrick. Finding him wouldn't be a bad idea either.
And it's an interesting thing because we were talking a lot about the game before, you know, the show started, and the way that both of these teams are playing, because they're very close in the standings. It's very easy to draw a comparison between these two teams, but you know, we really felt that EXCEL were the team that had been looking better, because even in their wins, SK's wins have been very close games, when EXCEL, when they found their wins, were pretty decent. As might have to hold that fort as Lilipp's getting jumped onto here. Chains are going to spread and Treatz is locked down as Nukeduck makes his way forward. They're looking for knock up a great solar flare into the stopwatch, and Advienne is caught out for a moment. Jumps away, caught out by the belly bot, flashes away to safety, and Blue comes in with a culling. Advienne is just obliterated, and Lilipp is able to survive.
Yeah, Everfrost from Treatz actually interrupted, if I call that correctly, Advienne's grand entrance with his ultimate up. Stopped EXCEL's advance entirely, turned around in their phase 2. EXCEL lose their support. Great response from SK all around. And again, EXCEL, you can tell, they know where their head is at right now. They have to try and find picks like this to try and sort of turn the tables, give control over, or buy control back from SK rather, in these kind of areas around the Baron. Because again, when SK get control like this around these neutrals, it just gets so difficult.
Oh, good dodge there, but he's still caught out by the belly bot. Nukeduck jumps in, they get the Spectral more off, and Blue gets chunked heavily. Yeah. Haymaker's balanced, man. Haymaker's so balanced.
What you mean to say is it's not. It's all right. You don't have to lie to the viewers. It's cool. It's...
Here's a public service announcement. Sett's kind of broken. Haymaker is so ridiculous.
Look,
ridiculous.
If you think that one ability potentially dealing, you know, what, like 3,000 through 5,000 damage potentially in one button click isn't balanced, I don't know what to tell you.
It's true damage as well. It's crazy.
It is. But
I'm gonna get very passionate about that. I'm gonna shut up talking about Sett.
Yeah.
28 minutes on the clock. We got the dragon spawning up in 1 minute 20 seconds, and gold lead now growing for SK. Items are coming in as well. You got the Serpent's Fang finished off onto Jenax. Kind of deal with Nukeduck in his shielding. He's got obviously the Advienne shields as well. 3 items on Patrick. Also has himself the Grudge. He's just finished that one up. So this is going to be a very important fight for EXCEL, and I honestly think this is the defining moment of whether or not EXCEL can buy the time they need to get back into this game, or if this game's just going to be over for them.
Yeah, absolutely. When you kind of take a look at the value of the items that EXCEL have in comparison to SK as well, this is the fight that they have to win. If they don't win this fight, they give over the soul. Life just gets so much harder for them from this point on. Markoon potentially a little too aggressive.
Heartbreaker's away. The cask actually saves in. The shield from the Battle Dance is enough as Treatz comes in forward, and Markoon goes down. That's the end of the jungler, and SK can just force everybody away. Nice chains come out, and a bit of damage on the arrow as Patrick's just pops Lilipp. It's a 1-for-1 support for jungler, however, and Markoon's not going to be up in time for the dragon with the health bars low. I think EXCEL are just going to have to concede this one, but I'm not sure if they're willing to. Trying to jump away, trying to buy some space. Patrick's trying to sustain up a little bit here. He has got the Eclipse for the lifesteal.
I mean, it's the soul. You have to try your best to sort of contest this in one way or another. Can't just give this one up. Markoon is going to spawn a couple of seconds after the dragon respawns. We've got a teleport here coming out from Kryze. I think just finished up the Zhonya's. Maybe just went back for a pot or something like that. But you can see, I mean, SK, they're kind of just on the objective first.
Chains are always up for Patrick. This is the one. Kryze making his way forward. Nukeduck. No flash available, the dragon's going low, and that's going to be smited away. Soul is picked up, and EXCEL are going to be squashed. Advienne's trying to buy some space, but this is the damage. Jenax able to find the kill as the bomb comes down. It's a shutdown, it's a double kill, it's a whitewash for the side of SK. And EXCEL are wiped from the Rift.
And this is such a big game for SK to be pulling out a performance like this so far. They can probably pick up the Baron off the back of this. It's only Markoon alive. And remember, 3-9 is where SK stand. The strength schedule, it's not great. And of course, we still got the rest of the game to play out. But with the Soul, the Baron in pocket, EXCEL, the only way that they can really come back into this game is going to be a lot of these kind of miracle wombo combo fights from this point. Though the tools, really good. SK have just done such a good job of shutting all of it down. Markoon, we've praised him for his aggression and the life he brings to EXCEL. This is one of those moments where it kind of backfires, unfortunately, for him. And you kind of understand EXCEL, they don't want to give over, you know, area control here in front of the dragon. If SK are here as a 5 in front of the dragon, it's just going to be so tough to get on top of the Ziggs, on top of the Jayce. The return damage from Patrick is so bonkers.
He does do a lot of damage. He does do a lot of damage, but again, just why was Markoon there? It's a Leona. It's so easy for her to land the CC on you. You might be a slippery customer, but you're not that slippery. And 0-3 now for Markoon. It's got the Stare, it's got the Divine Sunderer, but into the fact that now the stopwatches are starting to come in. The Zhonyas, there's 3 Zhonyas on the side of SK, so finding these kills, finding these opportunistic picks that EXCEL need, just becoming harder and harder with the soul and the damage from those accelerated shot blasts onto a tanky member. Probably sets the tone, but this is going to be incredibly rough for EXCEL. Okay,
tanky with HP, yes, he doesn't have a lot of armor, but if that hits Patrick, yeah, Patrick's going to have to go back to base. So
yeah,
let's avoid that if you are the Varus. But I mean, Jenax, he's got so much freedom to kind of just sit at this range.
Oh, nice little dodge there. Actually get the damage off. Lilipp able to stopwatch it for now, but the satchel's down, so nobody can get close.
He's
Patrick?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
He's gone.
He's gone.
All right, well, SK, with Varus gone, that's a majority of the return poke just removed from EXCEL, so this should just be straight up 2 inhibitors. SK, they could maybe even force... Yeah, they could just force the Nexus Towers if they really wanted to.
I think the death timers are too long. Advienne jumps in, he gets a big old knockup. This has to be the moment. This has to be the turnaround. They find the kill already. 2 kills picked up on the Kryze, but he is way too low, and the Soul doing too much work. SK take out EXCEL once again in convincing fashion. And they're going to be able to take the win here. The towers go down, the Nexus will crumble, and SK just obliterate EXCEL.
Yes, they do, and what time to pick up a 2-0 week. I mean, look, miracles have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And even if you take into consideration strength of schedule, not a bad win against an EXCEL team that a lot of people are hyping up. Really good looks from them overall. Definitely unfortunate for EXCEL to be on a 4-loss streak, but I think here today against SK just were the better team. I think SK understood their win conditions a little bit better. And in general, EXCEL just a little bit out of sorts with one another when it came to those team fights. They were never really truly in sync with one another, and I think that was the big difference maker here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. SK looked so together, so just on form. And this is something that they've been lacking for a long time. You said it in the game. They've been scattered. But you can vote for your Kia player of the game. Head over to LEC on Twitter, and you can vote for Jenax, Treatz, or Lilipp. I'm going to ask you, Jamada, which one of those do you think you would vote for?
It's a tough one. I think Treatz was a really big impact, impact reason as to why SK got ahead in the early game. But Jenax, man. The damage that he was putting out was kind of bonkers. The Lips engage as well. I'm probably going to lean into Jenax for this one. I think Jenax was...
Yeah.
It's just too much. Too many times that the damage was followed up as well by the Ziggs. He was a really big reason as to why EXCEL was kind of forced out of a lot of these fights.
For me, it's Treatz. I actually think that Gragas did such a good job of stopping any engage coming in. Every time Advienne on the Rakan would try to jump in, you get caught by the Everfrost, you get caught by the casks. He just shut down any opportunity that EXCEL would try and set up for themselves. And, for me, it was definitely Treatz. But anyway, we're going to pass it over for an interview. I didn't see who it was with because I'm an idiot, but we're going to pass it over to the interviewer.
Thank you very much. The interview is with Jezu. Actually, thank you very much for joining me, Jezu. First 2-0 week. Any words on that?
I mean, it feels really good.
I'm really happy that we can manage to win again. We played better. So
yeah, I can imagine. I mean, Miracle Run feeling a bit more real with this win, but we'll touch on that a bit later because I have your schedule here and it's going to be interesting. Before that, I noticed that during this game, the ability from SK to win team fights and play around team fights, even though EXCEL tried to turn things around, you were always on top. So there's a replay I want to show you because I want you to explain who calls the shot, who decides, and how do you organize team fights, actually? If we can watch the replay here. Yeah, it's coming. We don't have it. Okay, well, it was the 23 minutes team fight around the third Drake. They go around you in your jungle, you're in a choke point, and you manage to turn things around. So how did you do it?
So basically, it's when they TP behind us, right? Yeah. So we just see the TP, then we just went on them, obviously, because for them, the only way to win is to look for flank, like with Rakan, with Sett. So as soon as we see the TP, I think blue spotted it, then we went on them. And we just play range, and I mean, I got a bit lucky in this fight, I should get one shot. But yeah, then obviously we just need to play the range, and I think it was a bit drafty this game.
Drafty this game.
Yeah, I
Well,
think so.
Tell me about the Ziggs pick, because we're starting to see it a bit more lately. It comes a lot in prior picks, and I'm wondering, had a discussion with Lilipp before the game, and I was telling him that we don't see him often go for this roaming play, but it feels like it's something you have to do with the Ziggs. You're going to be left in a situation where you're alone in lane, so what do you think about the pick, how you play it, and how it changes your playstyle?
I really like the pick in general. I think it's really strong because I mean it's good against a lot of ADs right now, I feel like, and it makes the draft a bit more flexible. And the thing is that I think it's working kind of well for us because we are a good team front to back, I think, and Ziggs is really good to make the game stable and to play fights really slow. And it allows Lilipp to move on the map, and I think he's doing great. Like this week, he has been finding a lot of good moves around mid. So yeah, it worked great.
The whole team is working together, actually, and it's amazing to see. But yeah, about this miracle run we were talking about, the upcoming schedule is G2, Fnatic, Misfits.
Yep.
I know usually players say that they don't care about the opponents, but I mean, right now with SK, if you want to make playoffs, you have to win against these top teams. So a few words on the schedule ahead.
I mean, obviously, they are really good teams. They've proven more than us, for sure, but I think we're playing really well right now. I don't think we're playing on stage next week, so we have to, because I feel like we have the stage boost, honestly, and we need to find a way to keep it when we're playing in the office. It's going to be tough, but I think it's doable if we keep playing like this, and I start to, believe.
Yeah, believe, that's the word, and everything looks so great for SK for now. But Jezu, merci beaucoup for l'interview.
No problem, thanks.
And we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes to hear more about this game before Schalke 04 and SK. No, not SK. We'll see about the second game.
They are out there, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are big, and some of them are small. But that's the thing with ideas. They don't just come to you. To find them, you have to move. Kia, movement that inspires.
The systems are overloading. We can't risk another game.
We need to take a break and regroup.
We're starting to lose our mind. Captain, we cannot go back to Elo Hell. Last time it took us months to get out of it.
Initiate break protocol.
Hurry up! Yes! Yes! I did it! We did it! We did it!
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Welcome back, everyone, to LEC Summer, where SK took a massive win in the race for playoffs, and I'm joined by Gragas and the boss to break it down. SK with their backs against the wall. They pull out the win versus EXCEL. We have the composition here behind us. A couple of things I want to touch on. Maybe first up, Gwen, who's been so incredibly oppressive in a lot of games we've seen, boss. What do you think about Jayce as the pick for the lane matchup there?
Right. Well, first of all, I just want to say, EXCEL drafted Gwen and Viego and still ended up losing. That is impressive. Those two champs are so OP. But yeah, versus Gwen, you basically have to draft a range champion. Any melee champion gets completely destroyed by Gwen. So they pick up the Jayce and it ended up working out.
Yeah, it seems that here we have a high index on very strong champions. I think a new pick for Nukeduck in the mid lane that can completely turn a team fight around. But at the end of the day, it seemed like SK Gaming knew what to do more with their team fight comps when push came to shove.
Ultimately, yeah, I think that you're completely right. And at the end of the day, Rakan kind of being in the middle, but otherwise it's essentially 4 melee champions here, and it's going to be pretty hard. You heard Jezu say in the interview, you're always going to need to look for a flank if you're on the side of EXCEL, and while there are these dream situations and worlds where it can happen, I think it took a degree of patience that EXCEL just did not show today, and inversely, when you're running face first into a Gragas, a Ziggs, a Jayce, a Lucian who's going to cull you down, who's going to bomb you down, who's going to blow you up with shock blasts, if you're not finding those flanks, if you are sloppy in your play whatsoever, this is a fantastic comp to punish you.
Boss, can you tell us when we get into a team fight situation, what is the ideal setup for SK Gaming? Who is the engager? What has to go right for them to get the maximum out of a team fight?
So SK's gaming game plan is pretty obvious when you have Ziggs and Jayce and even Lucian. Poke them down. Poke them as much as you can until they're too weak to fight you back. And honestly, the real stars when this happens is Leona and Gragas. They have to peel the team. And versus a champion like Sett, they can't go forward too much, because then we see the typical Sett combo, ult, E, W, kills the whole team. So the true stars, undercover stars, are Leona and Gragas. They have to play well, they have to peel for the team, and yeah.
Wonderful. We're going to take a look at a few replays to look at that. First, you wanted to look at some bot lane action, specifically how both teams were thinking about the bot lane and how they needed it to get ahead.
Yeah, and I think that I really like this. Now, we're going into the second play here. Initially, we're going to start with the first play here. So EXCEL obviously finding these initial plays, getting these initial advantages for themselves, but I really love the heads-up play to TP, to force an advantage. And the big thing here, and one of the big differences about this play, is notice Jezu's TP. Now, Jezu's not consequential in the remainder here of this rollout. Blue's going to TP in, and that will cost them later, but Jezu being able to TP down means the pressure can stay on, means SK can grab a few plates, and while it does cost them a lot in form of TP, SK are going to continue to kind of build and snowball what could have been a disastrous situation into a decent advantage. This compounds a little bit later, though, when Blue no longer has the TP, when Nukeduck's able to teleport bot side and support a further follow-up dive. But overall, both these teams, excellent use of their early game resources. The fact SK were a team that looked so lost on the map for so much of the season, but are now ready to punish, ready to fire back, ready to adapt, is massive for the team overall.
Second replay.
Yes, we have the second replay at Gragas, where you wanted to highlight also how this plays out in cascades for SK.
I mean, and this is actually more than anything an excellent heads-up play from Advienne. He's roaming down now. In the meantime, SK see what they believe to be a small window to make this happen, but know that Nukeduck has the teleport advantage, which makes it really hard to follow up any more than they already have. But this here is less about heads-up play and more about incredible individual performances. Patrick and Advienne playing together as a duo that has spent so little time together to perform that well in a clutch scenario is massive.
Yeah, that is the silver lining indeed.
Yeah, earlier in the game, they also solo killed the Ziggs. It was just a team difference that the TPs came through. So this EXCEL bot lane, not looking bad.
No, not looking bad indeed, and they invested the right things in to get them ahead. But then, as we said, it is in the team fights that SK found the upper hand. Now, with the information you gave us about the real stars being the Gragas and the Leona, I'd like to take a look at the soul fight at 29 minutes into the game and look at exactly what they are doing in this.
Now, of course, as you look at this one, you can see how easy it is for space for the backline for SK. It does require flash out, but Nukeduck's here, but he's all on his own because the fight is split. Patrick, this Ziggs ult is the bane of his existence, because if his team is not the one starting the fight, if his team is not the one forcing the enemy back, Jezu just gets to ult him every single time. And no matter how strong your Varus is, center on that Ziggs ult is always just about going to one-shot you.
Maybe not the best example, because Lilipp was not actually in the fight, but he came strutting around later.
No, but Markoon was not there either. I felt like EXCEL played up pretty well, but they ended up losing anyways. Happens.
And sadly, I think for the side of EXCEL, while they were able to fire back. It was in Markoon's initial very aggressive trade. We were talking about it behind the scenes. He goes all in on this Leona and has really no reason to do so. And if you look back at the few of the different team fights that happened, Markoon is clearly trying to do too much. He is playing Viego like it's Diana, like he has this giant AoE ultimate to go in. And while there are some highlight moments, and maybe, you know, 100 health difference here, he gets a reset, he gets to pop off, he gets his time in the sun. I think a little too over-eager to make these plays happen, and it does cost EXCEL.
Unfortunate for EXCEL, because I think even last week they didn't win a single game, and we thought they should be in the position to win a couple of them, but it's not enough, and it's SK that comes out on top and keeps their hopes of the playoffs alive. And after the break, Misfits are looking to take on another huge team and a step towards playoffs as they face off against the Schalke 04 on an unfortunate 4-game losing streak. Get out your memes.
Excited.